The sun hung low over the hidden leaf village, casting long shadows across the training grounds where Naruto Uzumaki stood alone, his breath steady but his fists clenched. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and pine, a reminder of the battles fought and the peace hard won. But now, a new threat loomed, one that had crept from the shadows of the past, a specter of war long forgotten. The Phantom Kage, a rogue shinobi of legendary infamy, had resurfaced, his name whispered in fear across the 5 nations. Naruto's blue eyes narrowed as he recalled the reports, entire outposts wiped out, chakra signatures vanishing without a trace, and a single message left behind: the last Uzumaki will fall. Naruto's cloak fluttered in the wind, the orange fabric a stark contrast to the darkening sky. He had spent years honing his skills, mastering the power of the 9 tails, and achieving the rank of Hokage. But this enemy was different. The Phantom Kage was no ordinary foe, he was a relic of the old world, a man who had once stood among the Kage before vanishing into myth. His motives were unclear, but his hatred for the Uzumaki clan was undeniable. Naruto's mind raced, was this about the past? The fall of Uzushiogakure? Or something deeper, more personal? A sudden gust of wind sent leaves spiraling into the air, and Naruto's instincts flared. He spun just in time to see a figure materialize from the shadows, clad in tattered robes that seemed to drink in the light. The Phantom Kage's face was obscured by a mask, its surface smooth and featureless save for 2 slits where eyes should be. His presence was oppressive, a weight that pressed down on Naruto's chest. "You've grown, Uzumaki," the man said, his voice like gravel, but not enough. Naruto didn't waste time with words. His hands flew into a familiar seal, and in an instant, a dozen shadow clones burst into existence, charging forward with kunai gleaming. The Phantom Kage didn't move, until the first clone was upon him. Then, with a speed that defied logic, he twisted, his arm a blur as he struck. The clone vanished in a puff of smoke, and the others followed in rapid succession, each meeting the same fate. Naruto's eyes widened. He's reading my movements before I make them. The Phantom Kage lunged, his hand outstretched, chakra condensing into a swirling sphere of darkness. Naruto recognized the technique, a corrupted version of the Rasengan. He barely managed to leap back as the attack struck the ground, tearing a crater into the earth. Dust billowed, obscuring his vision, but Naruto didn't need to see. He could feel the enemy's chakra, a vile, pulsating thing. With a roar, he unleashed a wind-style Rasen Shuriken, the whirling disc of chakra slicing through the debris. The Phantom Kage raised a hand, and the attack collided with an invisible barrier, dispersing harmlessly. Naruto's heart pounded. This wasn't working. He needed more power. Closing his eyes, he reached inward, calling upon Kurama. The 9 tails voice rumbled in his mind. "This one reeks of death. Be careful, Naruto." Golden chakra erupted around him, his pupils slitting as he entered his tailed beast mode. The ground cracked beneath his feet as he shot forward, his fist aimed squarely at the Phantom Kage's mask. This time, the enemy couldn't block. The impact sent him skidding back, his robes tearing as he barely kept his footing. For the first time, the Phantom Kage hesitated. Then, he laughed, a sound that sent shivers down Naruto's spine. "Good," he said. "Now we fight as equals." His hands moved in a series of seals, and the air itself seemed to tremble. Dark chakra coiled around him, forming a monstrous silhouette, a shadowy imitation of a tailed beast. Naruto's stomach dropped. He's using some kind of imitation Baijuu transformation. The two clashed again, their blows shaking the earth. Naruto's Rasengan met the Phantom Kage's dark orb in a cataclysmic explosion, sending shockwaves through the forest. Trees splintered, rocks shattered, and the sky above them darkened as if in response to their battle. Naruto could feel his stamina waning, but he refused to yield. This was more than a fight, it was a reckoning. The Phantom Kage's hatred, his connection to the Uzumaki clan, the mystery of his power, it all had to end here. As the dust settled, the Phantom Kage straightened, his mask cracked but still intact. "You fight well, Uzumaki," he admitted, "but you lack the resolve to finish this." Naruto gritted his teeth. "I'll show you resolve," he shouted, his chakra flaring brighter. The battle was far from over, and the fate of more than just the hidden leaf hung in the balance. The last Uzumaki would not fall, not today. The battlefield trembled as Naruto Uzumaki skidded backward, his boots carving deep furrows into the earth. The Phantom Kage loomed ahead, their spectral forms wreathed in dark chakra, their hollow eyes burning with malevolent intent. The air crackled with tension, thick enough to choke on, as Naruto wiped a streak of blood from his lip. "Not bad," he muttered, his voice edged with exhaustion and defiance. "But I'm just getting started." The phantom cage moved as one, a blur of shadows and lethal precision. The Mizakage's clone lunged first, her water-style techniques forming monstrous dragons that surged toward Naruto. He countered with a Rasen Shuriken, the spiraling vortex shredding the watery beasts apart in an explosion of mist. But before he could recover, the Tsuchikage's phantom was upon him, his particle style dismantling the ground beneath Naruto's feet. With a grunt, Naruto flipped mid-air, channeling Kurama's chakra to form a golden cloak that shielded him from the disintegration. This wasn't just a battle of strength, it was a war of attrition. The phantom cage fought with the relentless efficiency of their living counterparts, their movements synchronized, their strategies flawless. Naruto gritted his teeth. He needed to break their rhythm. Summoning a shadow clone, he feinted left, drawing the Raikage's phantom into a thunderous lariat. At the last second, the real Naruto pivoted, slamming a Rasengan into the phantom's ribs. The clone dispersed in a burst of dark energy, but the remaining cage didn't falter. The Kage's iron sand coiled like a living thing, snaking toward Naruto's ankles. He barely evaded, flipping backward as the sand spikes impaled the ground where he'd stood. Breathing hard, Naruto felt Kurama's growl reverberate in his mind. "You're holding back, idiot. They're not real, just echoes. But they'll kill you all the same." Naruto's eyes narrowed. He knew what he had to do. With a roar, he unleashed the full might of his Nine Tails chakra mode, his golden aura flaring like a supernova. The ground quaked as he shot forward, a streak of light against the encroaching darkness. The Hokage's phantom met him head-on, their Rasengans colliding in a cataclysmic explosion that sent shockwaves rippling across the battlefield. The phantom cage regrouped, their forms flickering like dying embers before solidifying once more. But Naruto wasn't done. He weaved hand signs at blinding speed, summoning a barrage of shadow clones, each one wielding a different elemental Rasengan. Fire, wind, lightning, they crashed into the phantoms in a symphony of destruction. The Mizakage's clone dissolved under the assault, the Tsuchikage's phantom staggered, and the Kage's iron sand shattered like glass. Yet the Raikage's phantom remained, his lightning armor crackling with renewed intensity. "You fight well, Uzumaki," the phantom rumbled, his voice a distorted echo of the real Raikage. "But can you outrun lightning itself?" Naruto smirked, his body aching but his spirit unbroken. "Watch me." The final clash erupted in a blinding storm of speed and power. The Raikage's phantom moved like a bolt of pure energy, his fists a blur. Naruto matched him strike for strike, their fists colliding with enough force to split the earth beneath them. Each impact sent shockwaves through the air, the sheer force of their battle tearing the landscape apart. Then, Naruto saw his opening. As the Raikage's phantom lunged for a killing blow, Naruto twisted, channeling every ounce of his remaining chakra into a single, devastating Rasengan. The sphere of spiraling energy slammed into the phantom's chest, erupting in a blinding explosion of light and sound. Silence. The dust settled, revealing Naruto standing alone, his breaths ragged, his body battered but unbroken. The phantom cage were gone, vanquished. He dropped to one knee, exhaustion weighing him down like lead. But as he looked up at the clearing sky, a familiar voice echoed in his mind. "You did good, kid." Naruto grinned weakly. The battle was over, for now. But the war was far from finished. The air crackled with energy as Naruto Uzumaki stood opposite the phantom cage, the spectral remnants of fallen shinobi leaders twisted by dark chakra. His breath was ragged, his orange jacket torn, but his cerulean eyes burned with unyielding resolve. Across from him, the phantom cage loomed, their ethereal forms flickering like dying embers, yet radiating overwhelming malice. "This ends now," Naruto growled, his voice hoarse but firm, his fists clenching as golden chakra flared around him. The phantom cage lunged, their movements a blur of shadow and steel. The Mizakage's spectral mist coiled around Naruto, choking his senses, while the Raikage's lightning-fast strikes seared the air. Naruto twisted, barely dodging, his instincts screaming as the Tsuchikage's particle-style jutsu carved a crater where he had stood moments before. Pain flared in his side, a glancing blow from the Kage's sand spear. Blood trickled down his ribs, but he didn't falter. He couldn't. Not when the fate of the shinobi world hung in the balance. Memories flashed through his mind, his father's sacrifice, Jiraiya's teachings, Sasuke's rivalry turned brotherhood. Each loss, each bond, had forged him into the man he was now. And now, he had to prove it. With a roar, he channeled every ounce of his will into his next move. Sage Art, Super-Tailed Beast Rasen Shuriken. The spiraling sphere of chakra erupted from his palm, splitting into 8 colossal projectiles that screamed toward the phantom cage. The impact was cataclysmic, light swallowing the battlefield as the spectral warriors howled, their forms unraveling under the sheer force of Naruto's determination. But the phantom cage wasn't finished. From the dissipating smoke, the Hokage's shadow emerged, an amalgamation of every fallen leader's will, their eyes hollow yet piercing. "You cannot erase history," it intoned, its voice a chorus of the dead. "We are the past that shaped you." Naruto's chest tightened. This wasn't just a battle of strength, it was a battle of legacy. He gritted his teeth. Maybe so, but the future's mine to protect. With a final surge of chakra, he reached deep within himself, drawing on Kurama's power, the sage's wisdom, and the unbreakable bonds of his nakama. His body blazed with radiant energy as he shot forward, his fist colliding with the phantom cage's core in a blinding explosion of light. Silence. Then, the darkness shattered. The phantom cage dissolved into motes of fading chakra, their whispers fading into the wind. Naruto collapsed to one knee, his body screaming in protest, but his heart lighter than it had been in years. The battle was over. In the aftermath, the world exhaled. The villages, once teetering on the brink of war, found reconciliation in the wake of the shared threat. Naruto's actions had reminded them of what truly mattered: unity over division, hope over despair. As the sun rose over the battlefield, he looked to the horizon, knowing this victory wasn't just his. It belonged to everyone who had ever believed in him. And with that, the last Uzumaki's battle became the first step toward a new era.